wonderful. I mean, oh.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our lunchtime live LinkedIn LLP panel. That's a lot of L's. With me today is Melissa Simonton, Janet Price, and Chris Freeman. They are some excellent LLPs here in the state of Colorado, and I will let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their profession just as we get started. So brief introductions, ladies. Obviously your names are up. Experience would be great for everyone to know. So Melissa, you're our solo practitioner. We'll start with you.
Thank you. So my name is Melissa Simonton. I have a solo firm, 5280 licensed legal paraprofessional. A lot of words there. I started my business in late July, and then once I obtained malpractice, started accepting clients. I have been in family law for 30 plus years. I've worked for solo practitioners. I've worked at large firms, and I have extensive family law experience as a paralegal.
Awesome. I know we've worked on a few cases together throughout the years, and it's good to have you here talking about your solo practice.
Thank you.
Janet.
Hi, I'm Janet. I am an LLP at Modern Family Law at the Denver office. I have been a paralegal working in family law for about 20 years. So was really excited when the whole LLP scheme came into place, and even more excited that I passed the exam and got sworn in. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I think we were all kind of there with the, thank God we passed, thank God we made it through.
Right.
Miss Chris.
I'm Chris Freeman. I'm a licensed legal paraprofessional at Modern Family Law at the Colorado Springs office. I was a paralegal for roughly 20 years before I took the exam and passed. And yeah, same. I'm just over the moon excited that we've all passed and we're doing it. So
yeah.
Very,
very good. And just a quick shout out to all the LLP candidates out there who are about to take the November test. We're so excited for you. We are here for you. Please reach out if you need any kind of support, and just know we're out here cheering you on. Anybody want to give any advice as to, I know we were talking a little bit before the live started about kind of our strategies. If you like to put in, Melissa?
Sure. I would just say, trust yourself and have some confidence. Make sure that, you are versed in the professional conduct and obviously the scope of the 207, and, you should get through.
Mm-hmm. Janet?
And going beyond, obviously there's the whole legal aspect of the LLP thing, knowing the law, knowing the processes and everything else like that. But especially in family law, I think there's a lot of, there has to be a lot of compassion, and, there's a whole psychological aspect to it that I think you have to be. And if you've worked in the field, you already know that, but really be prepared for. That's something aside from just the legal knowledge and processes, and Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very wonderful piece of advice. Empathy and compassion is going to take you very far in this profession, especially because we are dealing with people who are going through the worst situations in their lives. So that's very good advice. I hope everybody takes it and keeps compassion and empathy in mind. Chris?
I think that I would just maybe touch on, again, trust yourself, trust your knowledge, have confidence in yourself. You're going to go in and kill it. It's not anything that you anticipate it's going to be, I promise. Touching on what Janet said, you're going to need empathy and compassion to get you through this. It's a whole other world from being a paralegal to now an LLP. You're responsible for everything that happens in that case. So just, keep that in mind. One thing that I don't think that I was prepared for when we all passed, I don't know if you all had experience with this previously, but vetting consults and talking to people and that kind of thing. So I really had to hone my skills on vetting clients and scheduling consultations and getting through all that stuff. So just because you get through the LLP program and you pass, it's not over. Like a whole other thing starts, and just be prepared for that too.
Yes, very much so. Janet, I know that you have extensive experience as a paralegal and in family law, and you are the newest LLP in modern family law. Can you share some of your common misconceptions that you're running up against that clients are facing when it comes to the LLP?
I think one of the things is the thought that, okay, I'm hiring an LLP because I'm getting somebody that's going to do my paperwork for me, and then that's the end of it. That's all that they're going to be able to help me with. And so you really have to talk to clients and let them know it's going to be way more than that. I kind of let them know this is what we're going to do. Yeah, there's going to be paperwork that's going to be involved, but there's some legal stuff that goes behind that paperwork, and I'm going to be able to advise you on that as well. I have to let them know that when things come up, when a hearing comes up, the initial status conference, if there's a final hearing for something, that I can go with them and do that as well. I can go to mediation as well. But I also have to let them know that there are some limitations. But when those limitations come up, if there's an issue that I can't address, that the rules don't allow me to address, that I'm also working within a firm, and there are lots of other attorneys. There can be a seamless transition. I, as an LLP, may not be able to handle something, but the attorney can. And then they're getting a full service that way. But yeah, I think the biggest misconception is, oh, it's just somebody who's going to be able to handle paperwork. And it's so much more than that.
It is. It sounds like you give them a really solid education as well as to what you can do, what you can't do, and what their options are, which is so important.
And that,
go ahead.
I think that has to happen at every step. I mean, you always follow up with your clients. Okay, we've done this now. This is going to be our next step. And I think you always have to reiterate and bring forth exactly what it is that you're going to be doing with them, and that you are permitted to do with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to open it up to Melissa and Chris if you would like to have your input out there, as well as any misconceptions you've come across that we can maybe clear up.
I've had clients that want to retain, and like, oh, but you can represent my husband too, but you can help us through this. Like, well, it's not how it works. I can't serve two masters.
That's a great way to put it.
I can only help one of you guys. Can I facilitate and get you guys to the finish line? Absolutely. But I can't, I can't advise the other side. I can't tell them what to do and how to do things. But that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions that I've come across. Yeah.
Chris, I also experienced that, and person didn't reach back out. But what I find that helps a lot is when I do an intake, because I'm doing them myself, I send them immediately my notice of the scope of licensure. So that way, before we even really dig into everything, they know where I'm at and they know what I can and can't do. And I think that kind of helps. And, also they sign it when they sign on to the agreement. So I have one that's just a form with all of my scope and cans and can'ts do, and then the one that they sign with the fee agreement. So I do think that helps. I've had a lot of calls for things outside of my scope. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, if there's so much misconception, like what we can do. Like I've had adoption calls. I've had, oh goodness, what else did I have? Some debt. Woman had a lot of debt. And I'm like, and so I think, letting the public know that our scope is family law.
Family law only, yes.
Correct.
And Melissa, we have a direct question for you, which is a really, really great question. What are the challenges that you have faced in setting up your own solo LLP firm?
Well, it is a lot, girls, let me tell you. It was way more overwhelming than I thought. And I'm so proud to have finally, gotten my web page up, because I feel like that was the biggest hurdle, was making sure, and being very nervous about making sure that I have enough information, but not too much information, and, making it so that if a potential client is looking at it, that they can figure out that what I can do. And also, I wanted to make sure I was protecting the licensure and putting all that information out there. So I was able to get that up and running in the beginning of September. So that was definitely the hardest part. But it's also, I have all the administrative work to do. So I have intakes and accounting and, and then doing the paralegal work for the client and the LLP work for the client. I'm doing everything. So it is challenging, and trying to find that balance and making sure that I'm responding promptly and calendaring everything. And so it definitely has been challenging.
It sounds like it really has been. Would you mind elaborating a little bit more on your malpractice insurance and what that process looked like for you?
Oh, sure. So I did attempt to get it through the CBA. I think they had referred a few insurance companies. However, they were not interested in providing malpractice insurance for a solo LLP. So I got my insurance through Nationwide, and they were the provider that helped I don't know what they're called in Arizona, but LLPs or whatever they're called, but they were one of the innovative insurance providers that started in Arizona. So they were able to insure me.
Okay, so out of Arizona, that's very good information to know.
Nationwide. And if anyone needs a reference to the agent that I used, I'm happy to provide that.
That would be wonderful. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are thinking about starting their own solo firms. Is there any advice that you would give them
with respect to
starting their own solo firm? What inspired you to go out on your own versus staying in a firm?
I don't know. I just kind of fell in, and I am still using my paralegal skills and doing contract paralegal work. And so I just think it's a great opportunity for us as newly licensed people, where I feel like this job is a calling, that we do this because we care about people, like Janet said, about having compassion and empathy. We have to like this job. And if you don't, this is a hard job. It's a really hard job. And if you don't like it, you shouldn't do it. And so I felt compelled. I presented at FLI, and hearing those numbers of people that are unrepresented, and Judge Moses did a presentation, and her week was incredible for 1 week of cases. And it was sad to hear that she had 16 cases on her docket, 32 potential attorneys to be present, and only 3 showed up. And so that was kind of astounding to me.
It was staggering to hear those numbers.
Yeah, I was really shocked. And so I feel like we really can help the public.
Yes. And I think Judge Moses did such a service to the LLP industry by really demonstrating what her week looks like and how packed it can get and how quickly it can fill up. I think as paralegals, we all know that 1 minute a date is available, the next minute it's not. Dates are being set out, next year already. It's a lot of work. And to piggyback off that, Chris, I know that you've been on the panel a few times, and we've talked about challenges that we've encountered. But I'd like to hear some milestones, some successes that you have had in your LLP career so far?
So far, well, I've been to a couple so I've been to a couple ISCs. I've done a couple of mediations. I've actually stepped out on one case. Like they're set for an uncontested hearing at the end of the month, so that's fantastic. When I picked up that case, it was kind of in shambles. Like they had gotten a DPO, and the case had been dismissed just before I entered, and so I had to reopen it. I mean, it's like starting it from scratch. I should have just let it dismiss and start over. But it's okay. It's okay. Everything worked out in the end. They're set for an uncontested hearing, and it's going to work out for them. I actually went to a divorce program called Second Saturday. I was just going to sit in on that and just kind of take it all in and see if there's something that, if we had clients that couldn't afford to retain us, I wanted to give them some resource that they could go and look at if they had to go it alone. I wanted them to go at least armed so they know what they're getting into. So Second Saturday is kind of financial planning and what do you do with the house and who gets what? And sometimes I have attorneys speak at these things. So I just wanted to go and see what it was about. So I would be able to refer clients to that. And the attorney that was supposed to show up that time FTA'd. So I kind of just stepped in and just kind of presented for the legal aspect of it. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
That's great that you took that step. And you're presenting again, correct, in January?
Yes, in January. I'm presenting in January. Yeah.
And is Second Saturday, is that specific to Colorado Springs, or do they have chapters throughout Colorado?
They have chapters nationwide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm doing the one for the local one, Colorado Springs. So you don't have to show up in person. You can sign up on their website. You can sign up via Eventbrite, and you can just do it all via Zoom. It's all anonymous. They don't sell your information or anything like that. So
that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Janet, jumping over to you, I also want to hear some milestones and successes that you've had. We've talked about challenges. Have you had any challenges that the milestones have offset, have made you feel more confident about?
So far, no, I haven't really had any challenges. There are some that I expect, but so far I haven't. One of the things that I expected was clients, I don't want an LLP. They don't know what they are. and for the public, if you're going to get help in the legal field, you got to have an attorney. And so I have been really pleased with the number of clients that have, when I've talked to them, it's like, I don't have to have an attorney. And they were really excited to be working with somebody other than an attorney. So that has really been kind of a plus for me. The barriers, I haven't hit anything yet, but I expect they're going to be there. As much as Colorado and the legal community has embraced LLPs, there are still some within the legal community that haven't embraced LLPs. And so, it's something that's new. It's something that's going to have to be overcome. And so I expect that'll happen. I haven't personally encountered anything yet.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I don't think there's any program that's ever come in that changes the legal landscape of an established industry that's accepted right off the bat, and maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe, questions are never a bad thing. So like you said, it's something to be overcome. It's great. We are embraced in Colorado. We were talking before the live started about how lucky we are to be in Colorado, to have the support we have, and the other states that didn't have it. Chris, you mentioned Oregon. Can you give us that pass rate?
I think, before Oregon had just taken the exam before we were sitting, the inaugural class was sitting for it, and I think only 11 people passed the exam in Oregon. So it was kind of devastating walking into our exam.
Well, I also want to add about what I found that has been so wonderful is the support from other LLPs. And I am so grateful to have all of you out there, just being willing to do this even, and to, I would feel comfortable reaching out to any of you and saying, hey, what do you think about this? And I think that as a community, we have come together and supported each other through this whole process. And I am so proud of all of us for that.
That's a very, very nice sentiment, Melissa. I think you're absolutely right. I think we all agree that the success of the program is success, which will come later. We're all out here supporting each other, and you were on Channel 7 promoting LLPs. That was wonderful. If anybody hasn't seen it, Melissa was featured on Channel 7 News, speaking about the LLP. I think this is your second time being featured.
Yeah, I did it pre-test, which was a little frightening, and then post-test. I was really trying to get more information out there about us, public awareness, and Jessica was ending her reporting career, so it was her last opportunity to present for us, and so it was rather exciting. I wish that we could have gotten a little more across about where to find us on the website. So hopefully we'll get more information out there.
Absolutely. And we so appreciate you doing that for us. That's great. We have some questions coming in on the feed. I will open this up to all of you. We have a question. What are the biggest perks you all feel you provide a client rather than hiring an attorney?
I think a big perk that we have that attorneys don't have is, I think most of us, if not all of us, have been paralegals before. And so there has been a lot of stuff that attorneys depended upon us to do and to know that we are carrying over into what we do now. There are a lot of, so there's probably solo attorneys, but there's a lot of attorneys, in firms that work with paralegals that they don't really know per se what the paralegals do. We didn't have to relearn anything. We already did all of that, and we brought it into what we do.
That's a great point.
I think the savings, I mean, we can do the same amount of things more or less, aside from, appearing in court and, the limitations that we have as far as, the confines of what we can do, but save them a lot of money. I mean, they can pay us or they can pay an attorney. It's a huge difference. So I think that the last statistics out of last month was at 36% savings compared to attorneys, at least for Modern Family. I think that's what it said.
So I'll share my first intake that I did, and it was a modification of child support. One child was emancipated, and I was talking to him, and he goes, "Wow, you really do know a lot." I was like, "Well, I hope so. I took a test," And so it was just kind of, I think he was really surprised to know that I knew that much, and being just a paralegal for so long. So I think that, coming forward with that confidence and, knowing when so, and I think that was very, very helpful to him.
Yeah, I think that's great. Knowing what you know, and also knowing when you don't know, and knowing when to make sure your clients are well taken care of, and make sure you're advising them correctly and speaking to your attorneys when you need to. Melissa, that kind of leads into my next question for you. As a solo practitioner, how are you staying connected with the bigger legal community?
Well, so being solo, I find that there's a lot of little aspects that could potentially fall outside of my scope. So I do have a couple of attorneys that are willing to step in and handle the things that fall outside of my scope. So I'm making sure that I respect my licensure and making sure that I have an attorney on board to jump in. So for example, I had an ISC and there's a potential issue with increase in value in a house. Mm-hmm. And so I cleared the date for permit orders on her calendar as well as mine. And so that way, should something fall through and I need an attorney to jump in, I have one available. So, and then with respect to, your question about staying in the larger legal community, I'm just networking. networking, trying to get, I need to get volunteering with the courts. That's something important I want to try to get on this month. And, but, family, friends, social media, whatever I can to just keep myself involved.
That's great. I know Metro Volunteer Lawyers would love to have you volunteer as an LLP, and they're fantastic to work with. So I speak highly of them.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
We have another question from the live. Have you been to court with a client yet, and how was it?
Personally?
All to the group.
Oh, go ahead.
I've only done ISCs. I haven't done any hearings yet, but my experiences going to court have been good. I mean, I didn't physically go anywhere. They were all done via WebEx. So yeah, they were all good experiences. My mediations were great. So yeah.
Janet?
Janet?
No, I haven't been to court yet. ISC next week, but yeah, I haven't actually been to court. It'll be exciting to see how it goes, but I haven't actually been yet.
Excellent.
I've done a couple status conferences. The first one was daunting, but and trying to get a continuance of a permanent orders, and it didn't work out so well. But otherwise, the two other status conferences have been successful. And I also helped that client through the modification without actually having to file. They ended up stipulating, and so that worked out well too. So.
That's really great. There's another question about the courts. It sounds like we've answered it, but we can reopen it. How have the courts been treating you? For those of you who have gone.
Everybody's been super nice to me. Everybody's been accommodating. They're like, oh yeah, you're an LLP, you're the first class. I'm so excited. Your client's lucky to have you. Yeah, everybody's been really great. The mediators have been fantastic too. In fact, one of the first mediations I had was like, oh, this is my first mediation with an LLP. Let's see how it goes. And that was when we stepped on, so it was great.
That is great. That's great when you can step for a client and you don't need to go to court. I think court should be an exception and not the default.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of ISCs and I've had the same experience. Everybody has been wonderful. Everybody has been supportive. Everybody has, had great things to say. So I'm very happy with that. And Tony Ann just confirmed that, yes, she would love to have all of you volunteering for Metro Volunteer Lawyers. If you can't see the chat, I can send you the link if you want to look into that more, Melissa.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I also did an advisement hearing with Magistrate Tens, and she had a little smile on her face when I entered. So that was pretty exciting. And it was also great because she went through the whole advisement. And so I'd never been in that. So that was a great experience also.
That's great. What kind of cases are you all seeing? What is the most common case coming in to you specifically as an LLP?
Anybody?
What I've got is a couple of typical divorces. I mean, just with and without kids, and then a couple of post modification of child support. So I think those are some kind of very typical type of cases.
I think half of mine are divorces, and the parties are actually retirement age. So we've got silver divorces, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah. I've had a lot of inquiries on protection orders, and I've been referring them out because I feel like the cross-examination piece is probably, an attorney is probably needed for that. So
yes. So you're still collaborating with attorneys, Melissa. You've got people on deck. What about you, Janet and Chris? Are you leaning on your attorneys? Are you collaborating with them? What's that look like now that you're LLPs versus paralegals?
I'm getting my cases ready. So I'm doing settlement conferences, scheduling temps, scheduling mediation, scheduling final orders, hoping that we step out at any point, making sure that everything is prepped and ready to go for each stage. But if it comes to the point where I need to hand it off to an attorney when I'm scheduling. I'm looking at attorneys' calendars and blocking out that time in case, in case it blows up in my face.
And just having just a bigger brain trust of others that you can bounce things off of sometimes when you need. There's that exists as well.
Yep. We have a really great support system in Denver. We meet every single morning and we talk about stuff. We talk about stuff that needs to be staffed. We talk about all kinds of things. And I think that's super important. The paralegals are in there as well. And, they always have great input. So I think, having that collaboration, like you guys said, is very important. And it's nice to have.
Our attorneys come from all different backgrounds. So it's nice to be able to pull from all of those different areas when you need that sort of direction.
It is very much so. We have more questions coming in. This is great. Is there anything you feel the legal community can or should be doing to help educate the public about LLPs?
I think there has already been a start with that. The Colorado Bar Association, with open arms accepted us, become members and everything else like that. Working though with the public, I don't know. I think there has been a lot. There's been a couple of news stations. Maha has been out there helping. So, I don't know. I guess what could be done? That's a good question. What else could
we need to brainstorm that and come up with some more things. I know that we've all been trying to really figure out ways to push the LLP out into the community, just because it is so new. And, people who aren't connected in the legal industry may not know about it.
True.
Well, and the Colorado Bar is working on setting up, our own LLP committee. And so I think that will also be a good avenue for people when they're looking for an attorney, when they go to the Supreme Court website, that they can find LLPs on there. So I think that's another great resource that we're going to have coming forward.
That will be wonderful. Chris, did you have anything?
I think that maybe there's something more that we could do as LLPs, maybe just in our local communities. I guess that would just take more coordination from all of our local people to get the word out. Yeah.
We have a couple more questions. Have you noticed a difference in the types of clients you work with now as an LLP and before as paralegals?
So I'll say this is kind of funny. Sometimes I have to remember to get out of my paralegal brain and to get more into the attorney brain. And so I can go into that rote mode of sending out the disclosures that came in and then calendaring, and then I'm like, I better review that. And so I find the transition is still, it's a work in progress. So that's one of the things that I think I'm challenged with is okay, now you can give the advice. Now you get out of paralegal brain and get into LLP brain. And I think that's been one of the bigger challenges for me personally.
Yeah. So there's a question coming in regarding kind of a description of LLPs. What would you say is the biggest difference between LLP and paralegal and LLP and attorney? Obviously we have we're limited in scope.
Well, the main thing is cost savings, right? I mean, if you're going to hire even an associate attorney, I think our rates are less than an associate attorney and certainly less than an experienced attorney. And like Tony Ann said, for Metro volunteer lawyers, there's so many people out there. They have to be below the poverty line to get help. And we really are here for an access to justice and to really bridge the gap between the people who can't afford attorneys and the ones that can.
Absolutely. I think I had to explain it to a client today that it's a little bit of a hybrid between an attorney and a paralegal. There's things that I can do that I can't do. There's, obviously the cost savings. There's scope. We don't have a general license, so we can only do family law, which I think people don't really realize that the LLP program exists, but it only exists in the realm of family law.
And family law doesn't encompass everything. Like it's not.
No.
It's not DNNs. It's very limited as far as
adoptions. Like today, I was like, well. So,
anybody have any other input? I think we've got all the questions right now, and we're at 35 minutes. We're a little bit over time, but any other parting words for our legal community out there, other than our sincere thank you to everyone who is supporting us and promoting us, and good luck to the LLPs that are taking the test in November.
Well, and I want to say thank you to Modern Family for being so innovative and starting the LLP division and being so supportive of us as a whole. So I think it's wonderful to have firms behind us and backing us, and it's wonderful to be a part of this community.
It is. An LLPs are at Modern Family Law. We're included in basically everything. They are also very much in support of the LLP community as a whole, not just us at Modern Family. So, I will be reaching out, Caroline will be reaching out to other LLPs. We want to get everyone's perspective and visions and just know what's going on outside of Modern Family Law. So this is definitely not just for Modern Family Law. And thank you, Melissa, for bringing that to the forefront.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Well, good luck to you, Melissa, in your solo firm. I don't know if people can see it in the chat, but if you'd like to drop your email where people can reach you, that would be wonderful. So people can know where to find you, drop your website, anything we can do to help get your name out there. Let's do it.
Thank you. I'm not sure I know where to put something in the chat, but we'll see if I can see it, but I can't.
Go to comments instead of private chat.
Janet has answers for everything. I love Janet. I don't know something like Janet.
Oh, shoot. Let's see. I will try to get in there, but I'm not seeing how to do it. So,
what is the name of your website where people can find you?
So it's 5280-llp.com, or you can get in through, I had to buy 2 licensures because I didn't want to have to spell my name out all the time. So 5280-llp.com. And if anybody has any comments on things that I should add or take out, please, I'm open to listening. So I want to make sure, like I said earlier, that the license is protected, that that I ensure that as a solo, that I am, supporting all of us. So
we appreciate you. And there's a very nice comment in the chat that says, we appreciate all of the intrepid LLPs who are blazing the trail for all of us. Thank you to whoever wrote that. We appreciate that greatly. And if there's no other questions, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you, panelists. You were phenomenal. Thank you, Melissa, for shedding light on being a solo practitioner. We will be having more solo practitioners on just to see what else can be done with the LLP. Janet, you've been phenomenal in your practice and helping me. Chris, you've always been super supportive. I'm so glad that you guys were able to be here. And I just want to thank our audience and hope everybody has a great day and a great rest of their week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.